How you doing? Good to see you. Well, it's great to be back in St. Johns County, and I want to thank Valley Smoke Barbecue for hosting us. This is a good spot. They've had really, really good stuff. It's been a while since I've been able to eat here, but I really want to thank them for their hospitality, and I want to thank everybody that's here joining us for a great announcement showing that we continue to be very strong and supportive of our men and women in law enforcement. We do have the Chief Financial Officer from Florida with us here today, Jimmy Petronis. We have the sheriffs from both St. Johns and Putnam County, Sheriff Hardwick and Deloach. So I want to thank you guys for being here. We have Corporal Stacy Sastre, who's with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Department. And we've got a number of elected officials. We have Senator Hudson, Representatives Stevenson, Byrd, Payne, Senator Bradley, Representatives Garrison, Yarborough, and Jason Fisher. So I want to thank them for their good work because, you know, the announcement here today, they're the ones that had appropriated. So thank you guys for doing that. And then we've got from representing police departments, not just St. John's Sheriffs and Putnam Sheriff. We got Atlantic Beach PD, we got Neptune Beach PD, and so really so many people in this local area. So I really want to thank them. You know, we've worked really hard in Florida to be sure that as national trends over the last 2 years were to take money away from law enforcement, to blame law enforcement, to turn your back on law enforcement, that we stood strong and we would not flinch from being a law and order state, that we support the men and women in law enforcement, and that we want to show that we're stepping up to the plate. So last year, you saw municipalities around the country actually eviscerate police budgets. They would cut funding, places like Seattle and Minneapolis and New York City, and the results were catastrophic. You saw huge increases in crime. And from a morale perspective, it was really damaging for the people who were putting on the uniform, because they're the ones that we expect to show up when things are tough, when there's problems, when people's lives are in jeopardy, and yet they did not have the support of the communities in those places and throughout the country. And so just from a moral perspective, that is wrong. And so we said, we've got your back. And so last year, as those jurisdictions were doing that, I was able to sign in the budget a $1,000 bonus for every single sworn law enforcement officer in the entire state. And I got to tell you, we promised that we would do it again this year. And part of it was I'd have people come up to me and say, you know, we really appreciate the bonus. But I can tell you the amount of the money, while it's nice to get additional money, it was much more just the fact that they were getting the bonus meant that they were supported, and that people, the governor, the legislature, supported the mission and understood the sacrifices that they were making. So that was very, very meaningful for people. And I got to tell you, I mean, there's no state that's done more for law enforcement than the state of Florida since I've been governor, and so we're very, very proud of that. But now that we're looking for this year, we wanted to do it again. And part of it was to continue to show that support. We also did some great legislation, which we'll be rolling out soon. But part of it, quite frankly, when you talk about our police, our fire, our teachers, we just did a historic increase in teacher salaries, and some of these really key pillars of our community. You know, you do a bonus because you say thank you, but you also just need to do it to help them deal with Biden inflation that you're seeing. The fact of the matter is, we are seeing huge, crushing inflation, the likes of which this country has not seen for over 4 decades. And they're keeping every indice that comes out always higher and higher. You look at what they're doing with gas prices like we haven't seen in an awful long time. You know, I see Biden, he's going to take out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, you know, which is just kind of like a Band-Aid. You know, it's not going to make a sustained change in the trajectory of the price of energy. But he refuses to utilize energy resources in our own country. They will literally go and try to back channel with Nicolas Maduro to beg for oil. They go to OPEC and beg for oil. But they close Keystone, they cancel leases, they're not using ANWR, all these great things that we have the capacity to do, And we were energy independent prior to January 20th, 2021. And so we see the wages of when ideology takes precedent over both national security and the pocketbooks of hardworking Floridians and Americans. And so this inflation, they dismissed it last year, even though they came in and printed trillions and trillions of dollars. Of course you're going to have inflation when you do that. And so now that's a real serious tax that's biting a lot of folks who are working really hard. And of course, you see it with folks in law enforcement. And so the bonuses, I think, were something that we wanted to do, not only because it was the right thing to do in terms of recognition, but it was a necessary thing to do given what we're seeing in the economy. And so, yes, we're going to talk about later on in future events, we're going to talk about HB3, which we did, which is probably the strongest law enforcement recruiting package and support package that any state, has done in modern times. But today, we wanted to say, because we're going through this budget, we're going a lot. There's a lot to go through. But today, I'm happy to say we said we would do $1,000 bonuses 2 years in a row. The legislature responded, and I'm approving $1,000 bonuses for all sworn law enforcement officers, all fire, all EMT in the state of Florida for the second year in a row. And so this will represent over $100 million worth of bonuses to folks who are on the front lines protecting our communities. Obviously, they've done a lot during things like COVID. They've done a lot to keep the community safe, and so we're really, really excited. And so whether it's a sheriff's department and sheriff's deputies, whether it's a municipal police department, fire, paramedics, EMTs, you name it, you're eligible, and we're going to be doing the $1,000 bonuses for the second straight year. So we're proud of that. We're proud to be able to stand with our great first responders in the state of Florida. We'll be talking about HB3, some of the things they did there. I think actually HB3 increases some of the sheriff's salaries, for our elected sheriffs. But there's a whole bunch of things in there that are going to be huge boons to people that wear the uniform. Yes, some of it's recruitment, which we've discussed in the past, and I know there's going to be a lot of people in other states who are going to want to come down. I was talking to someone, they're out in California, they're like, look, if we were already qualified for our pension, we would leave to Florida the next day. I mean, that's just, but they got to stay more, and they got to try to do their pension, but some of those areas aren't treating them very well. So we're proud of what we've been able to do here. We're going to continue to do it. Again, we do have more announcements with some of the legislation that we've had, but for the second year in a row, the state of Florida is stepping up. And, and a lot of these agencies are, sheriffs here and these other counties, these are local constitutional officers. They handle their pay, but we're going in on the local level and supplementing that with these bonuses. And so I think it's meaningful. I think it shows that we support the folks that wear the uniform. And the better the morale, the more the community is supporting law enforcement, the more that we have good laws that promote public safety, the safer our communities are going to be. This is not rocket science. If you cut police budgets and you turn your back on law enforcement, you're giving the criminals an upper hand in being able to do what they want to do. That makes families less safe. So in Florida, we're doing the opposite of what you've seen in many of these decaying jurisdictions around the country. We're going to make sure that we have strong communities. We're going to make sure that we have very, very well-supported folks who are wearing the uniform. And I'm just happy to be able to be here to officially approve these bonuses. I still got to go through other stuff in the budget. It's going to take some time because there's a lot of stuff in there. But rest assured, this is approved, signed, sealed, and delivered. So in the months ahead, once the money becomes available, we'll be transmitting those bonuses out to folks all throughout the state of Florida. And we're proud of that. So thank you, guys. Now, we're going to hear from some of our law enforcement folks. So St. Johns County Sheriff Robert Hartwick is here. So why don't you come up, Sheriff? Okay, go ahead. Yep.
Thank you, Governor.
Yep.
Governor, first of all, on behalf of the men and women that are just here behind you, I got to tell you this. While other states turn their backs on law enforcement, you stand beside us, you lead from the front, and we will follow you, sir. So that being said, we thank you and salute you for this bonus for our men and women. On the approximately 45,000 sworn law enforcement officers in the state of Florida, Governor, this is huge for us too as well. And as we continue to see the gas prices go up, as we continue to see other things go up, like in St. Johns County, the cost of living has increased and continues to increase. And you and members of the Florida House and the Florida Senate, you stand beside us and you fight for us. And I can't wait for you to announce everything that underlies in House Bill 3 because it benefits the men and women that wear this uniform. Me as a simple sheriff here in the state of Florida, I will tell you this. The men and women are committed to providing the safest place to live, work, play, and raise a family in the state of Florida as we grow exponentially every single day. But we can't do it without a man like this who stands in front of us, stands behind us, and also, too, during the good and bad times, we stand together as one. So on behalf of law enforcement, again, Governor, members of the Senate, members of the House, CFO Petronas, thank you very much on behalf of the men and women of law enforcement. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, from Putnam County, Sheriff Gator Deloach.
You know, coming from a small fiscally constrained county, $1,000 bonus is a lot of money. It could mean the difference between buying groceries or even taking a family vacation with inflation the way that it is. And if it hadn't been for Governor DeSantis being proactive about this and pushing forward with the legislature collectively for these bonuses, this would have never came to fruition and we wouldn't be here now. I thank God every day that we don't live in places like Chicago and Baltimore and other areas where police are vilified and demonized and defunded. I would say publicly to anyone that not necessarily across the nation, but in Florida, there has never been a better time to start a career in law enforcement. And it's all due to the efforts of Governor DeSantis and the members of the Florida legislature who have collectively stood behind us. So, Governor, thank you so much for everything that you and the legislature has done over the last several years to support us and truly has made Florida the most law enforcement friendly state in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, and then with St. Johns County Sheriff's Department, we have Corporal Stacy Sastre. Where's she at? Oh, right here. Come on.
Hello. Hi. I also kind of want to echo the sentiment of Governor DeSantis. This $1,000 check, it's not even the money as important as what it symbolizes. This is not always an easy job. We see things and do things that a lot of the communities can't even really imagine. And to have the support of your community, to have the support of your governors, your legislators, it really means a lot. It makes the job a lot easier. And to work in a community, certainly St. Johns County, that supports the law enforcement officers that do this job every day makes this job so fulfilling. And I'm thankful to work in this amazing county. I'm thankful to work in this great state, and I wouldn't want to work anywhere else. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, our Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Petronas.
Thanks, Governor. Friends, it's Christmas in March. DeSantis Claus strikes again, and all his merry elves of the Florida legislature just pulled it off again. And Governor, thank you for your leadership. You know, our law enforcement community is so integral to the safety and security of the citizens of the state of Florida, but it's also vital to our economy. And I tell people all the time, people will not relocate their families or will relocate their businesses. They won't make investments in this state if it's not safe. And y'all work a safety net that works 24/7, 365 in this state that makes people excited about making an investment here because it's safe here. We take it for granted. We do take it for granted. But the governor leads, he reminds, and he continues to set the message and the tone that the state of Florida is not only a safe place to do business, but we appreciate our law enforcement. Members of the legislature are here. They work, they take time away from their families, they go and they hammer out solutions, and they balance the budget every single year, unlike our federal government. So again, thank you for the leadership of the legislature. Governor, I think we need to be doing an amendment to the bill, though, because I hear some canines whimpering here that they're not being recognized through all this. But anyway, it's a real honor to see your leadership in action and taking care of those that take care of us. God bless.
All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we really appreciate what you do when you wear the uniform. We know it's important to keep communities safe, and in Florida, we are going to remain committed to being a law and order state, to being a state that stands by the folks who stand for us. Okay.